Hi, everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of our topic in the destination part of your magazine. Yesterday, we introduced Get Your Kicks on Route 66. Kicks, 6. This is actually a line from a song by the Rolling Stones. When they're English, and when they went to America, they were just amazed. They took Route 66. They drove across the country, and they thought, wow, what an experience. And it's quite a song. I love it. I don't know if it's really rock and roll. You can try to find it if you can. We talked about the development of America during the 20th century, 1900 to 2000. It was greatly helped by building a major road, a route, from Chicago in the middle of the country, more or less, all the way to California shore. Los Angeles is in Southern California. And that allowed people to decide how they were going to live their own lives. It was a symbol of freedom and prosperity.
所以刚刚老师讲了这一条66号公路它的历史，我们在第一天的时候学到了，它对于这个美国人来说就是类似是一个繁荣啦，是一个机会的一个象征型的道路，同时它也是一首歌曲，而且是 rock and roll 的歌曲。好，所以如果同学有这个兴趣的话，可以去搜寻一下这首歌。好，所以我们今天的这个行遍天下第2天的课程。
Okay, so let's get busy on our first paragraph after this quiet period.
Get your kicks on Route 66. Although Route 66 was officially removed from the U.S.'s highway system in 1985, its legacy lives on in American culture. In 1990, Route 66 was recognized by Congress as a symbol of American heritage. In fact, many parts of the old highway can still be accessed. So, if you want to experience a road trip across the U.S., the former Route 66 will not disappoint you. The 85% of the road that still exists offers great views of the different landscapes of the U.S. Starting from the city of Chicago, drivers will travel southwest through the agricultural land of Missouri and Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, you can visit Hamon's Court, a famous motel and gas station that assisted many drivers in the early days of Route 66. As the road continues west, drivers will see the plains of Texas, followed by the deserts of New Mexico and Arizona. In these states, visit the Native American reservations to appreciate incredible natural sights and indigenous culture. Finally, Route 66 will take travelers through the mountains of Southern California and into the lively city of Los Angeles. If you want a road trip like no other, you can surely get your kicks on Route 66.
Don't go away. Stay. We're ready for our first paragraph. Although Route 66 was officially removed from the U.S.'s highway system in 1985, its legacy lives on in American culture. Now, this, I can remember I was living in Taiwan at the time, even back then. And my friends wrote me and told me, no internet then. They wrote letters, we wrote letters, and they said, you won't believe this, but they took out of the interstate system, a fantastic system of roads throughout the United States, but they stopped using Route 66, most of it. There are just a few places where it is still left, and it's called Route 66. But they built an interstate highway system, which is like 30 or 40 Route 66s all over the country. So now if you want to travel around the United States, which is a pretty big country, it's so easy if you have a car or a motorcycle.
好，所以老师这边讲到这个历史，就是1985年那个时候 Bruce 老师已经在台湾了，好，然后他的朋友呢跟他写信说，这一条公路66号公路已经被从这个 highway 的 system 里面被移除掉的，被 remove from， 就从什么地方被，而且是正式在1985年就把它移除掉。那现在刚刚Bruce老师讲说，现在如果你要去美国旅行呢，他们的这个所谓的 interstate system， 它有很多条像这个66号公路一样，所以你要在美国这边旅行就变成更加的方便跟容易了。好，可是呢，它的 legacy 就是它的一个传说呢，依旧在美国的文化里面是 live on， 就是持续的存在下去。
Like the song, Get Your Kicks on Route 66.
就跟这首歌说的是一样的。
In 1990, Route 66 was recognized by Congress as a symbol of American heritage. Now, we talked about American culture in the first sentence. American heritage is the history of American culture. The Congress, 国会, this is where we have two houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate. You don't have to learn all of that, but they make the laws, and they're the ones who decided that Route 66 would be recognized, would be approved. They wrote about it, and the parts of Route 66 that were still being used, they put up signs to tell people about the history of this great route.
好，所以呢，后来是在1990年的时候呢，66号公路呢就被美国的这个国会，好，当时的国会呢就是认定，好 recognize 就是公认，好认定说呢，它是一个 symbol， 它是什么样的 symbol 呢？它是美国的这样子的 heritage。我们知道 heritage 它也是属于历史的一部分，也是刚才讲的文化的一部分，它就成为美国的这样的一个文化的一个象征。
In fact, and I've mentioned this already, many parts of the old highway, Route 66, can still be accessed. You can still use some smaller parts. Maybe it was too difficult or too expensive to build a road instead of Route 66. So they kept part of it because it's still usable. But there were better roads and more roads being made.
好，所以就是说呢，在事实上呢，这个很多这个老旧的一些 highway， 也就是这个66号的公路的这个旧的高速公路，有很多地方呢，现在你还是可以通行的，因为就像老师讲的，你再重建一条道路是很贵的，所以这个路有某些部分你还是可以用的。
So, if you want to experience a road trip across the U.S., the former Route 66 will not disappoint you. A road trip is just a way to describe, I think I just finished 1969, I remember the year. Some friends and I, we borrowed a car. One of their dads had an extra car. We borrowed it. We drove from New York State all the way over to California, then down to Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, the South, and then back up to New York. It took us a whole summer. We had no money, but we could stop here and there and do a little bit of work so we could buy gasoline and food. It was crazy. It was fun.
所以1969年 Bruce 老师就做了一些 crazy 的事情，从纽约这样子一直开，然后最后再开回纽约，然后是整个 summer 都花了这么长的一段时间。好，所以他这边就讲说呢，所以呢，如果你也想要像 Bruce 老师这样发狂了、发疯了去经历一下这样的一个 road trip， 就是这种公路，美国公路的旅行的话呢，是通过的整个美国，穿越美国的话，那么之前的这个66号公路绝对不会让你失望的。
Okay, now we can take a short break before we go to the second paragraph.
好的。
Okay, I mentioned in the first paragraph that many parts of Route 66 are still being accessed or used. Here we find the 85% of the road that still exists offers great views of the different landscapes of the U.S. Now, what about the 15%? Most of that is around big cities, and our big city traffic is as bad as Taiwan's.
Yeah.
So you want to avoid big cities if you're going to drive in the United States.
这倒是真的。所以老师刚刚讲了，在美国的大城市的交通的乱象，就跟在台湾是一样的，好，都是非常的可怕的乱。好，所以他就说了，这一条道路呢，有85%哦，还是存在的，而且呢，它提供了这个美国呢其他的一些你要去看一些漂亮的风景的话呢，好，不同的这些美景，还是有85%的这个道路都是现存的。那还有那15%呢，就如同老师刚才讲的，它有一些就是在这个主要的城市里面都是会看得到的。那85%目前还是现存的。
Right. Starting from the city of Chicago, we've mentioned that many times, drivers will travel southwest through the agricultural land of Missouri and Oklahoma. I mentioned yesterday that the central part of the United States is very agricultural. There aren't a lot of really big cities or industries, but America grows a lot of wheat and corn and soybeans, all kinds of food in the central part of the country. And Route 66 goes right through that. You can, if you like to look at huge farms, and you drive for 30 minutes without stopping, and it's all crops. It's all vegetables and so on. It's really quite an experience.
所以在美国的中部哦，现在还是就是所谓的农田啦，或者是农业哈，就像老师刚刚讲，有 corn， 有这些玉米田，所以如果你想享受这种农村风光的话，就是在美国的中部这个部分。所以他说呢 ，drivers 呢，你就可以开始开车，然后是从 Chicago 开始开，然后呢，这时候呢，你就开始一路的开往这个 Southwest 往西南边开。你就会看到这一些，就会通过这些所谓的农田的农业的这些地区。那这些地区呢，是在密苏里州跟奥克拉荷马州。
In Oklahoma, you can visit Hammond's Court, a famous motel and gas station that assisted many drivers in the early days of Route 66, maybe in the 1930s and 40s. I never heard of this place, Hammond's Court. A motel is motor hotel. So it's the kind of hotel where you can park your car and stay the night. It's very different from the city, where it's hard to drive and you can take a taxi. But these motels can be way out in the countryside, and they're not expensive and they're comfortable.
对，所以像这样子的一种老师刚才讲的这种 motel， 它通常就是你可以开车进去的这样的一个地方。这个地方通常是比较属于偏远的地方，所以他就说呢，如果呢你在这个奥克拉荷马州的话呢，你就可以去参观他们当地有一个非常著名的汽车旅馆，同时它也是加油站。好，那这个地方呢，它呢主要是在以前在这个66号公路早期的时候呢，它是来帮助当时的一些司机的，就是说你开车啊，可能开得很累的时候，你就可以到这个 motel 里面去休息，然后顺便加油。
Okay, we'll finish up now our final paragraph. This is, remember, our second day on this topic, and this is the final paragraph. So listen closely.
Yeah.
As the road continues west, drivers will see the plains of Texas, followed by the deserts of New Mexico and Arizona. So from St. Louis and Oklahoma City, you go southwest. You will first go through New Mexico, which is a desert, and then Arizona, which is a bigger desert. And then you will go to Southern California, another desert.
好，所以老师刚刚讲了3个沙漠区。好，第一个是 New Mexico， 第二个是 Arizona， 然后到了 California 都是 deserts。好，他们都是这个沙漠区。所以呢，就是随着这条路呢一直开往 continuous west 往西边开的时候呢 ，drivers 呢就可以看到这个 Texas 好德克萨斯州的平原，好 plains 就是它的平原，然后接着呢就是看到刚才讲的这一些沙漠地区，好一个就是这个墨西哥州，然后再是亚利桑那州。
In these states, especially the last two, Texas some, but especially New Mexico and Arizona, in these states, visit the Native American reservations to appreciate incredible natural sights and indigenous culture. The west part of the United States, before the Europeans settled on the east coast of the United States and Canada, and as they moved across the country, there were already people there, but they were American Indians or indigenous people. Actually, they came from Asia 10, 12,000 years ago, but that's another story. But they had settled there for a long, long time, but they did not have high technology. Many of them died from contact with the Europeans, the white settlers, because of disease. They had no protection from diseases, and the white settlers were very violent and wanted their land and just took it.
白人好，就是把当时的他们的这些土地呢都占有了，所以刚才老师讲的那个 indigenous 就是这个原住民的。好，然后说在这些州里面呢，如果今天你想要去参观一下这个 Native American， 就是美国这个他们的北边的北美的这些 reservations， 就是他们的居留地。好，美国这个原住民的这个居留地的话呢，你就可以去欣赏到他们的 incredible， 就是表示非常难以置信的 wonderful marvelous 好的这些 natural sites 好的自然景观，以及呢他们的当地的这个所谓的原住民的这些文化。
Finally, Route 66 will take travelers through the mountains of Southern California and into the lively city of Los Angeles. So finally, is near the end or at the end of Route 66, you will already be in California, which has mountains throughout the state, actually. And so does Los Angeles. I'm sure you've seen them in the movies. And they call LA a lively city, but I'm from the East Coast, and we don't consider LA a real city.
OK， 好，所以这个 Bruce 老师是从东边来的，所以他们觉得LA 算什么城市嘛？对，我们这边 New York、Boston 才是大城市，有没有？才是胜利者，有没有？好，所以他这边就讲的，最后呢，这个66号公路呢，也会带着我们这一些 travelers 好，这些 visitors。假设我们今天要通过这一个加州，好，它有很多的山，好，南加州的群山的话呢，然后呢，你又要穿越进入到这个所谓的 LA 的一些，然后它所谓的 lively city， 所以lively city 就是说，充满了活力的这样的一个进入到洛杉矶城市，它是一个充满活力的城市。
If you want a road trip like no other, you can surely get your kicks on Route 66. We haven't talked yet about getting your kicks is to try to have a good time, to do something and try to be happy and excited by something. And people traveling along Route 66, I've traveled on other routes, and if you have the time and patience to drive from east to west or west to east, it's a big country and there's a lot of beautiful things to see. So Route 66 is a choice, but not the only one. And welcome to the U.S.
好，所以 Bruce 老师现在在当导游，希望大家可以都去美国来玩一玩，确实也蛮好玩的。好，他说如果呢你想要这个一次与众不同，不像其他 like no other， 不像其他的这个 road trip 一样的这个公路旅行的话呢，你呀一定呢就可以在这个66号公路上面呢好好的尽情享受。所以刚刚我们讲了，get your kicks on， 就是说have fun，have a good time 的意思，你可以好好的享乐、享受的意思。
Okay, let's take a break, our final break, and we'll finish with a review of today's more important vocabulary.
OK。
Okay, our first vocabulary item today is one, be removed from. That means to be taken away from or be separated from.
好，所以这是一个动词的片语，所以这个 remove 就是被移除的意思，所以它通常用被动式，就是被从什么地方移除掉了。
Number 2, live on actually has different meanings, but here we were referring to it to mean to continue to exist. For example, driving out west, you might find natural plants, or you could go hunting by yourself. You could live on the land without having to use money to buy things.
所以这边这个动词片语的意思是继续的存在。
Number 3, to access something is to make it available to you. Route 66, people could access this road to travel more cheaply and more quickly across 2/3 of the United States.
没错，这边是当动词，表示它通往。
Number 4, motel is a word, motor, M-O, hotel, T-E-L together, because most people who stay at a motel drive to it, stay overnight, and leave the next day.
没错，这边当名词就是我们的汽车旅馆。
Number 5 is easy. Assist means to help.
没错，这边当动词帮助。
Number 6, incredible. Working with this one is an incredible
Thank you.
experience.
好，所以 Bruce 老师说跟 Bernice 老师一起工作是 incredible, marvelous, wonderful 形容词的意思，表示很棒的、很令人惊奇的。
Yes. Number 7, of course, a traveler, E-R is usually for person who travels. Sometimes we call a person who travels a lot or very far a voyager.
Voyager, right? OK, 所以老师刚才讲的这个字原本就是旅客哈，这个旅行者。那如果是很远很远，要到旅行到很远的地方，就可以用刚才的那一个字了。
And our last item, number 8, is lively. Even though it ends in ly, it is not only an adverb. A lively city like New York, it can be used as an adjective, and it really just means active, full of fun and lots of things to do.
没错，所以这个字要注意它的发音，它是念 lively， 不要念成 lively 了哈。所以 lively 它当形容词，表示充满活力的意思。
Okay, that's it for our second day talking about Route 66. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something about it. Till the next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.